Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Omnifactory. And today we're going to set up some processing arrays. I've been looking forward to this ever since I started this playthrough. Since last episode we run into the snag with this tier 7 circuit, which requires the assembly line, and decided not to go ahead and set that up. We're going to save that probably for next episode. And yeah, I really just want to set these processing arrays up. In the last episode we got our medium microverse projector running with the tier 4 microminer, and then we set up these blast furnaces with HSSG, niobium titanium, niobium, and osmium as well. That was all with the goal of making the fourth and final tier 5 circuits. However, I then realised that we needed the LUV assembling machine. Today we're going to set up the processing arrays. This is going to allow us to get rid of these arrays here and compact it down to one single multi-block. So it's this thing here. It's new in the dev version of the game. I'm so excited to get these up and running finally. I've been wanting to play with these since I started this pack. So I have one here, and so let's craft it up another 6. Let's order those, and then we'll also need some casings as well. I think it's these tungsten steels. So we'll order maybe 80 of those. 200 tungsten steel. So yeah, the plan is to move all of these arrays over. And I don't really want to take these down yet. I want to keep them up just in case we have to do crafting, at least before we get these processing arrays set up. I was thinking about probably just putting them in these squares here. So let's extend the platform over a couple more blocks as well. So we'll add probably 2 tiles on here, or 2 pastes onto the base. In fact, we might as well just fill this one in as well. Square it off. And that'll give us room for a processing array. We're probably going to have 1 per square. And we'll give each one its own CEF and then have the power line running on this black line here. So let's extend our power along. I'll make sure and claim and chunk load these new areas as well actually. And yeah, let's just start setting this up. So the first one I would like to do is probably the wire mills, since these are still MV tier of wire mills. And so I'll make new wire mills at EV tier, I think. Oh, no network power. Uh-oh. The reactor somehow turned itself off again. I have no idea why that happens sometimes. It's like when there's a big spike in power, the buffer here goes to 0 and then there's no comparator signal. And I thought I'd fixed that with this setup last time, but obviously that wasn't the case. So sometimes it has to be started manually and then it'll fix itself now. Like, as long as we don't have any more big power drains. But if you know a solution on that, let me know. Just to stop that happening. I've also ordered some energy input hatches at IV. We're going to put IV energy on these to begin with, the processing arrays that is. And I believe you can like use higher tier than the machines you give it. It means we'll be able to upgrade them in the future. And we'll need some CEFs for this as well. Let's get 8 CEFs. Yeah, let's just order it all at once. It'll take a while like this, but hopefully once we start upgrading these on-demand crafts will be much faster. So let's just start laying these out here then. So it's a 3x3 obviously, and I think the controller's 1 block off the ground. Yeah, and we'll do it like this for each one. We'll have our CEFs here. In fact, maybe I want to move it forward just 1 block. Yeah, let's move it forward 1 block, I think that'll be better. And that'll give a bit more space in the back. So we'll do it like this instead. And then we'll have our energy input hatches here. So yeah, we'll put our energy input on the back. We'll have the output bus on the right hand side and the input bus on the left. This could probably do with being a LV input bus. Oh, it turns out I actually don't even have the recipe for the LV input bus. That's a bit surprising, but we've got one for now, so that'll do. Yeah, so we'll have the input bus in the middle here. And then we need another input bus for the machines. And then I think the rest can all be casings. I'm not sure if it's hollow inside though. Yeah, it looks like it is. And it formed a multi-block, which is good. I think we're good to go. We need a CEF for the power as well. Wonder if those are finished. Not yet. Looks like we're held up by the circuits. There's only so much we can set out here while we're waiting for circuits processing. I probably should have pre-crafted those. But hey. Let me just wait for these things to craft and then I'll come back when we're ready to at least set up the wire mill one. So I think we'll be using EV wire mills for this, so I'll craft up 16. I think 16 is the maximum you can put in each processing array. 1000 annealed copper, wow, that is a lot of annealed copper. I might have to bump up the threshold on that once again. Platinum, 16 gallium plates. Yeah, this is going to take even more circuits, so I'm still waiting on another 80 for these processing arrays. Yeah, we really have to get these assembling machines up and running in these things. So while we're waiting, why don't we set up the inputs and outputs for these as well? Actually, we can't really even do that because this is going to like stop this wire mill from running, and I guess I'll just wait then. I'll come back when it's all done. Okay, some of the crafts are finished now. We got our CEFs and the rest of the processing arrays. Those finished up. I'm just still waiting on the wire mills crafting. So we can add power here. So I'll add that. Hook up our conduits. And then as for the input, obviously everything's going to go into this input bus. So we'll buffer it into a crate and then we can put our interfaces around this. Are these wire mills being used? I don't think so, right? It's done wire mill and everything. Yeah, so we can just yoink these interfaces since they're all named with all the patterns anyway. I just let the magnet drag the patterns over. And then we'll place these down here. And then we can put in all our patterns for wire mills. I think that's them all. I don't even think we'll have to set blocking mode for this either because there's not going to be any overlapping recipes, at least for the wire mill one, right? Because each wire takes a different input. So we don't even have to have blocking mode, we can just have it dump everything into this storage crate and process it as fast as it will. We do though have to hook up the interfaces, that is non-negotiable. And then we'll need one for output as well. We can make it a thin interface, like that, and then hook this up. And the rest of the wire mills are just coming through now, we're just waiting on I think casings. I moved this recipe over to a different assembling machine and it got stuck, so I had to just manually change that there. With these wire mills now, we can put these in the input bus of the processing array. And basically this processing array will use these wire mills up to 16 to process anything that goes into this storage crate. So if we order wires now, let's say copper wire, because I know for a fact we're going to use that. If we order regular copper wire, say like 2000, let's just see how quick this processes. Apparently it doesn't process. What are we missing here? Wait a minute. Copper wire. Oh, it's still doing it in this one. Oh yeah, I missed it. Okay. Fair enough. Oops. Let's take that out. Stop all this, please. I forgot there was an interface still connected here with patterns inside. Alright, well we can fix that. We'll just put our patterns in this one. Apparently this one had the copper wire in it. And let's try to order that again and see what the speeds are like. So 2000 copper wire. Let's see how fast this can process. Needs more energy. Really? Alright, well I guess we'll have to add another energy input hatch. Maybe another CEF. Let's just try one more energy input hatch. And see if that fixes it. Oh yeah, that is quick. I think there's a bug right now with these processing arrays where it just shows us idling even though it's running. But I think it seems to have worked though. Let's try it again with another recipe. Let's try annealed copper. Let's do 3000 annealed copper wire. And we'll view it from this. Oh yeah, look at how fast that is. Oh. And bearing in mind I asked for 3000 here and it's only been like what, 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds total. That is awesome. I love these processing arrays. So I guess this system is no longer needed. Let's start swapping out some of the other ones. What are some of the other ones we want to do? Let's do the cutting machine next. These have liquid, so we're gonna have to do a fluid input hatch for this. I don't really want to void all this lubricant, so I'm gonna move it all into tanks and then move over. So let me just do that really quick. Okay, I put most of the fluid in the drum here for lubricant. It's probably not that big a deal since lubricant is basically free. But it's still wise not to probably waste it. And I've put the fluid input on this side and we'll have a fluid interface there. I think we'll use a thin one. And this can auto input onto the fluid input hatch. So we'll put our cutting machines in here. These are only MV, but I think we'll have to hook this up for more plates in order to craft the EV ones. Or we might even go up to IV. Nah, we'll stick with the EV for now, and then we'll finish setting this on up, and then probably order those machines and upgrade them straight away. So input bus, and then the output bus here. Not there. Here, with an interface on there. And we'll hook both of these up, and then we'll have to grab the cutting machine recipes, which are all in these interfaces here. And also the one at the bottom. I'll remember this one this time. Right, so we'll add our crate and then the interfaces just like last time. We'll put in our recipes. All these plates. I need to make sure not put it in there, because when I hook it up it's going to get rid of, well, not get rid of the recipe. I'll put it in the ME system. And I'll go to craft something and realise we don't have it. And there's just one more that's on the bottom here. I'll have to rename this one as well. And I think that's all the recipes in. We should be able to now request plates, so let's see how fast this one is. I don't expect this to be very quick because we're still using the MV cutting machine. So in fact, let's just order the EV cutting machines. 16. We're missing diamond saw blades. These saw blades require this cobalt brass, and I think I'm just going to do it on demand. I don't think we need a whole lot of this. And so it's just a recipe for brass dust, cobalt and aluminium dust. We have all of this on passive, so I think this final step I'll just do on demand. Yeah, and then we'll smelt this into ingots in the multi-smelter, and then we can process this into gears. Where's the gear recipe? There it is. Okay, now can we order 16? I put in a couple of more recipes that we were missing, yeah. Right, we'll order some of those. I think actually for now, since I have all this lubricant on hand, rather than requesting more and overproducing and then still having all this excess, I'll just hook up this via conduit to this input, and then once we realise this thing stops, we can just quickly hook up the fluid interface and that'll give it more. So I'll move all these drums over and then just conduit all in, just to save wasting it. And I suspect with all of this lubricant buffer, this is going to last us ages. I didn't actually realise how much there was, but I guess there was, what, 8 times 64 buckets in each one of those buffers. So yeah, even this will last us ages. Yeah, so that's the cutting machines done. We can swap these out with the EV ones. I think those finished. Now we're at EV cutting machines. Let's order some plates just to see how quick this is. Some steel plates. 1,000 steel plates. Sure. Oh man. That's so quick. It's basically as fast as this can process blocks of steel. Yeah, look how quick that's going. I love it. Pretty much as soon as they enter the storage crate, it gets cut, which is what we want to see. So what's going to be next then? Alloy smelters? Let's do the lathes next. Let's do the lathes here. And the lathes I don't think is going to require any other special considerations like blocking mode or anything. I don't think we're going to run into any of those issues. So this should be a very simple setup as well. We just have to hook everything up and then add the machines. And I think these are already EV as well. Advanced Lathe 3. Yeah, I think these are already EV. So we can even just steal these machines. I guess we'll need 8 more though, since this is only 8. So yeah, let's add some of our recipes. I'll have to rename that interface I just broke as well. Alright, I think that's all the recipes added. We'll add their output as well. Just like that. And then, yeah, our lathe array is done. Actually, we'll have to add 3 more lathes. I don't know if I have the recipe for... Oh yeah, I must have the recipe for this. So 8 more. Coating wire is probably our biggest bottleneck, so one of these is going to be to coat wire. Probably that one over there. And did I add the extra CEF to this? No, I didn't, so I'll have to add an extra energy input. And those other 8 lathes finished, so we'll add these for the full 16. And yeah, this array is done. The next one then, what can we do next? Alloy smelters? Yeah, alloy smelters and compressors. I think I'll just set those up since it'll be pretty much exactly the same. And we'll have to put blocking mode on the alloy smelters, but I'll show you that when I come to it. So I think I'll make this one the compressor, and then the one next to it the alloy smelter. Okay, so I've spent a bit more time setting up these machines. We now have the compressor and the alloy smelter set up. For now I only have 8 machines in there. I was considering upgrading the alloy smelters, but I want to just wait and hold off till IV in order to be able to make these Indium microminer engine cores, as these are required for the tier 6 microminers, which are still a little bit away. But I think we can put off the upgrade on the processing array, at least now it's set up, and it just saves crafting both sets of machines. So it'll still work with it, it'll just be slightly slower. Same with the compressors here as well. The higher tier microminer requires the next tier of compressor, and it's not so easy for us to make the next tier just yet, so I'll hold off on that until we have access to cheaper circuits. Another thing you might have spotted when I was moving one of the interfaces from the cutting machine was the silicon boules in here. And the reason I have these in here is any silicon boules that end up in our system will instantly go to this interface to be cut, because there's no reason to keep them as boule. Like basically when the blast furnace cooks this, there's also a robot arm on here, or a conveyor on here, which is why I've swapped all these to Greg Tech chests to be able to support the input like this and just keep the one input hatch. So when a silicon boule goes in here, it'll be pulled into this chest by this conveyor cover and then instantly cut and sent back to our system. So yeah, the next thing I'd like to do is set up one for coating wire, because that is a very slow process, and having it in one of these is going to be excellent for getting the wire coating step optimized. However, we are currently coating wire in styrene butadiene rubber, which is this stuff here. We get this from styrene and oxygen and butadiene, which we are getting from our oil distillation. And we do need this for some of the wire coating, like in the assembly line, this is required fluid. However, there is another way to coat wire using silicon rubber, this stuff. And I'm told that this is a bit more efficient to use, so I think we're going to swap over to this, which means we do have to set up this process. So in order to make silicon rubber, we have to get polydimethylsiloxane dust and combine it with sulfur. And to get this dust, we have to, well, there's several ways we can do it actually. There's water, chlorine, methane, or there is methanol, hydrochloric, and silicon. I think I'll use this one though. Yeah, I think I'll use the methanol recipe and mix it with silicon, and that gives us polydimethylsiloxane. And then we'll just have the same sort of fluid input hatch on this bottom plane here with an interface, and then we'll import all of our rubber coating wire recipes in this one. Actually, yeah, let me just go and set that up, and then we'll have that ready for inputting to this processing array. Alright, I've now got this set up. It's just a whole lot of chemical reactors, well 4, and a distillery. So the items come through, well, actually yeah, let's work backwards. I'll show you from the final product to the start. So we have silicon rubber in this drum here with a fluid storage bus. This is by combining polydimethylsiloxane dust and sulfur. The polydimethylsiloxane dust is being made here with methanol and hydrochloric acid and silicon. The hydrochloric acid is being supplied here. We have loads of it being made elsewhere. And then there's diluted hydrochloric acid here being turned back into hydrochloric acid. The step before that makes the methanol for this process, and that is hydrogen and carbon monoxide. The hydrogen is being supplied elsewhere because we have, again, loads and loads of that. And then carbon monoxide is being made in this first one with carbon and oxygen in this first chemical reactor. And again, oxygen is being supplied by this interface. Everything is filtered, and we're voiding excess hydrochloric acid. Although there is a quantum tank here, so this is pretty unnecessary. But yeah, then we're storing excess polydimethylsiloxane dust here. Since it's more dense to store the dust than it is to store the fluid. So I think this buffer should be sufficient. Alright, and with that, let's now go and set up the assembler for coating wire. So I'm not actually sure which tier I want to use for this. I kind of want to use EV, but all the assembling machines obviously use the next tier of circuits, which is not going to be so easy at IV. So if we like request 16 of these. Oh wait, it uses the quantums. I guess we can do it like this. Oh man, 5,000 anneal copper wire. I expect that to be quick though, just not the coating yet. So if we think about the length of this recipe, it's 7.5 seconds at ULV, and it's going to be 0.45 seconds at EV, and then 0.2 IV. So is 0.25 seconds worth the extra investment? I don't think it is, so we're going to make them EV. Yeah, look how quick it's cutting wires, I mean. That is awesome. One thing that is really slow is these small gears. Although when these are requested, it's not normally in huge quantities, so usually there's other stuff to be processed as well that's going to be the bottleneck. I don't know, I'll probably hold off on those small gears for now. And that also means we can take out the recipes in this assembler here for coat and wire. So we'll take out even this integrated circuit and then... Wait, is it finished crafting yet? It's still coating aluminium wire. Oh yeah, this is in the more advanced one. The higher tier assembler. I think it's in this one. No, that's tin. Hold on, where am I coating wires? Is it here? Yeah. We can take these ones as well. And I'll probably use those ones for these crafts here for like the 16x cable, since we don't tend to use that much of that often. And when we do need them, we can just request 20 or 30 at a time and that should last. And it doesn't need to be particularly fast. I think we're fine just keeping that in these single machines. We'll need to give these a new name as well. So what should we call them? Assembler SR for silicon rubber. And then 24 for the circuit name. That seems sensible. Let's go and add those to our processing array. So what one was it again? This one? And this, instead of being SBR, it'll just be SR. There. So I've put down our fluid interface with the fluid input hatch back there. And we can make this silicon rubber. And the rest of the assemblers are finished. I was able to steal the one that was over there for coat and wire already, so I just cancelled the craft and made 15 instead. So I think this one's done actually. I think we're good to go. Let's try and order some copper cable again. 1,000 copper cable. Let's do it. Let's see how fast this goes. Oh, wait a second. We still need a circuit in here as well. I forgot about that. So it'll be circuit 24. Oh yeah, that's dramatically quicker. It's like 20 at a time. More than 20. Oh yeah, that's awesome. And it appears we've run out of fluid as well. So maybe I'll have to speed up the silicon rubber production. Wait, why did it stop? Oh right, I took out some, well, configuring the circuit. And with these now set up, we can actually take down this mess of a setup. So yeah, let's take down this. Oh yeah, I think that looks much cleaner now. Feels good to get that setup torn down. After tearing all that stuff down, the diamond pick I'm using is about to break, so I think it's about time we invested in an upgrade. And I'd like to make this drill core, which, oh man, it takes 500 Omni dollars. Alright, let's do it. I think you can find this out in the world as well. I'm just going to buy it for these Omni dollars. And then with this we can make the tool casing, which can then make the flux bore. I think we can upgrade this even as well, yeah. So I'll make the fully upgraded one. There's hardened tier, reinforced tier, signalum tier, and I think that's as far as we can go right now. We don't have access to Enderium yet. And while we're at it, we might as well upgrade our flux capacitor to signalum. And I think this actually doesn't break, it just consumes RF. So we'll have a big power buffer instead of durability. So we basically never have to worry about this again. Alright, so I've made some modifications to the way we're doing processing arrays, and I've added a few more features to it as well. So this one here I've shown is the lathe. This one here is for coat and wire. And I've also added a second fluid input hatch for polyethylene. And this allows us to do things like the machine casings and SMDs as well. Yeah, so we're now doing machine hulls and SMDs. I've also put the small coil in here. There's also the coils for blast furnaces, and yeah, we're still coating wire in here as well. And then heat-proof machine casings. Well, all the machine casings actually. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any conflicts with this, but I'm not 100% sure. I did test most of the recipes. And yeah, I added circuit 7, circuit 24, and circuit 8. It's all being shared in here. So I don't think this is going to cause any issues, but something might crop up where we get a recipe conflict in here. And I'll address that when it comes up. But I also have this one here for circuits. So this is making all of our nano circuits, micro circuits, refined circuits. And for now this only has EV assembly machines, so we can't make the tier 5 and above circuits in this. So I'm still using the IV assembler I have over there on the IV line. But I did add, like, for example, pumps and conduits in here as well. We're making conduits and frames. So yeah, the tin is on the bottom for the input, and this has circuit 3 and 1 inside. I also managed to break the dark steel anvil, which is crazy. I have renamed these so many times. Like, I was putting these interfaces on the chests and then realised I had the wrong name and wanted to change it, and yeah, but they're all named now. They should be assembler. I've put PA in all the names on the interfaces now, so we can tell that it's a processing array rather than a single machine. This sign is wrong as well. Let me change this. Okay, fixed. There's also a few other changes I've made to this base as well overnight. I was just messing around with some of the quests, and I came across this one we missed in the mid game for Vanadium-Gallium. And this is the gate for LUV machine hulls. We need Vanadium-Gallium cable. So this Vanadium-Gallium requires 2 blast furnace steps. So it's vanadium, which is just a single ingot in the blast furnace, or sorry, the dust in the blast furnace, which we're getting from ore processing. And then that gets frozen, we get vanadium ingots, and then we blast furnace this with gallium ingots to give hot vanadium-gallium, and then we freeze this into regular vanadium-gallium. So the vanadium ingots I'm making over here in this one, this is just a standard blast furnace recipe with the vanadium in there and then the output. I'm running this, I think, at EV. Yeah. For the vanadium-gallium, this requires higher tier, at least tungsten steel coils, so I've tacked it on the end of this one. And this one's a little bit different. This takes the vanadium ingots from that blast furnace, but it also takes gallium, and since we're not storing gallium ingots, we basically just get gallium dust from our ore processing. And the easiest way to just make it ingots is I've just put a blast furnace or electric furnace right on the input of this blast furnace, which is a little bit hacky, but it works. So this will automatically give it gallium ingots, and we just have to supply the dust through the interface. And then once again, it's just being extracted on blue back to the ME system. So yeah, that's that just for future use. That'll be building up. And then I also cleaned up this row slightly here. There was a couple of obsolete assembling recipes now that I had moved them over to the processing array. So that meant I could take out some of the machines here and refine it a little bit. It still has some refining to do. Some of these I might even move to processing arrays, although I don't think it's really necessary. There's not that many that we could move over, or that would benefit from moving over. None of these are really bottlenecks when crafting large crafts. But yeah, we'll see. Looks like I missed a circuit out here as well when I was moving it. Yeah, I don't think there's much else that I've changed though. Anyways, yeah, with that, I think that's about all the time we have for today. I'm going to wrap things up here. Next time we're going to make the assembly line in order to make these next tier of circuits. Hopefully get the LUV assembling machine and unlock the 4th and final tier 5 circuits. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for some more Omnifactory.